Everybody please stand and give the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move that we approve the agenda, but not necessarily in that order. Second. Second by Dan. Motion by Tim, second by Dan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Does anybody on the board have anything they'd like to have removed from the consent agenda?
Yes, I would like the meeting minutes from March 4th. Hold, please.
Okay. Anything else? Is there anybody that would like to make a consent agenda approval for the rest of the other things on the consent agenda? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ken.
Motion by Dan, second by Ken. Any further discussions? All those in favor of the consent agenda items indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The March 4th minutes.
The only question I have is it said Lang noted that February 25th, 2025 minutes. She supports the boosters. I support the project, not the amendment. I did not vote yes for the amendment. I voted against it. And it says no motions were made to further amend. Does that mean that my vote was not amended? Do we have to vote on that? Or was that just, that was the only amendment on the agenda?
Because there wasn't a motion made. The motion was made up here. You brought it up at the very end of the meeting and there was no motions made. So that's
Okay.
why it's just noted so that it's,
So can I make a motion now to amend it?
I don't know actually approved it. I don't know the answer to that question. All you gotta do is leave it in, because we haven't voted on that anyway. Well, no,
On the original ordinance, the way it was presented
that-
by the planning commission.
but we're
I
gonna
did not
vote on
vote
that
yes for
again later.
What?
We're gonna vote on that later.
Okay, I know there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be against the project, and I don't want to be on record for the original.
Okay. So what do we want to do with that?
I need a motion of approval.
I need to
March
approve the
4th.
March 4th minutes.
So moved. There's no objection, actually, right?
Well, just that I wanted to make sure that there was, I was under the assumption that it was gonna be amended, my vote was gonna be amended,
Yeah.
But it's not
but it's
There was
not.
no motion to,
at the time we approved the minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's, so I think we can approve the minutes as they are. So I make a motion to approve as is.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Dan, second by Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the March 4th minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Committee reports and chairman's report. We didn't have the Wisconsin County Association meeting. I have a EMS meeting tomorrow morning, our quarterly, at 8:30, and then I have a 9:30 Hudson Fire Board advisory meeting. We meet the same day, so it's the same people on both committees, so I will have a report next time on that. My chairman's report, the weight limits probably will not come off till the middle of April or the end of April, because the sensors still say that the frost is down at 3 feet. So until that comes out, it'll all be dependent on the weather. Okay? Scott Road, there was some complaints about fixing the potholes. I told Matt at this point, 90% or more of the people that drive down that road have known to shift over to the middle and not hit the potholes. And so we're going to wait until it warms up and not busting all that patch out and wasting money doing that. So I just wanted you to know I could look today to wait. Okay? Here for sure. Discussion on seal coating project. I'd like a motion. I'll make the motion to approve the seal coating plus fog spray, because he didn't put that in there. We've had a lot of residents, we've done it for the last couple of years. We got to get back in the future just for the audience so we understand what that is. When we seal coat everything, and normally they leave the pebbles there, and they come back now, they sweep the road, and they come back after they swept the road, and they take a light coating of oil and they spray it over the top of those pebbles to seal them all to the road. It makes a much better surface, it lasts more time-wise, and it just creates a better surface for the neighbors that are walking the right way. So, very thoughts, so I just need approval to.
Mr. Chairman, I would like some discussion on it.
Yes.
My discussion is, I would like them to check on that, just because roundabout has, they patched one part, and there's another part that's so broken apart that there might be something that we need to do prior versus wasting our.
I'll have them look at that, Susan. They may need to do a greater patch. I know what you're talking about. I'm not having that. I'm going with Matt tomorrow to look at some other stuff. I will mention it to Matt tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a second to my motion? Pursue voting.
I'll second.
Motion by Dan, second
Motion by Tim.
Motion by Tim, second by Dan. Any further discussion?
Susan. It's Tim and Susan. Oh, you made it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. The discussion of special exception permits for Little River Car Show at Emporium at 736 Roadville Drive on May 17th and September 20th. Is there somebody here to discuss that? No? Okay. Has anybody got any questions on the board? Do you want to act on it or no? You want to wait?
No, I'd like to speak with them because last year we had discussions on this week.
Wait, so,
I think we should discuss a few
when he gets here,
things. Some things weren't filled out
okay,
that it looks like here.
we'll wait then on that one. Discussion on the rules, no, just a minute. Wait. Special exception, we already did 8. 9, the special exception for the boosters for athletic complex on Highway 12. That was your question. We have to act on that within 60 days. We're here. We need to act on it. And we're all intelligent enough to know that we can't do that.
Was there a withdrawal?
No.
There's no withdrawal.
So what I think we need to do is agree to a 90-day extension, because it's got to, even after we go through the public hearing, even if you approve that other zoning ordinance at the public hearing, it's got to go to the county, we got to approve it, and it's got to go to the county committee, and it's got to go to the county board, so you're looking at probably June before that's coming through the county board. So I'd like to have the board request this 90-day extension for this, to make that decision.
Yeah, I'll so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got Susan.
Okay. Motion by Dan, second by Susan. Any further discussion on a 90-day extension? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like saying motion carries. Discussion on rules of the government of the town board, commissions, and committees. Those were the things that Rachel wanted to discuss. Had questions about. Does that answer your questions, Rachel?
Well, I don't necessarily agree
With what?
with everything. It says, so as far as meetings being available on Zoom, it says see Rule 30, but I didn't see Rule 30 in our packet.
It's on the rules.
Mine goes up to 29.
No, it goes up to 30. So I have your copy right here. This is just what Teresa put together for you with your questions.
Okay.
I put your packet back in your box.
Okay, I don't know that I picked that up. I was just looking at this copy here. So are you saying we can't have Zoom
Meeting
meetings?
says right here, Rule 30, remote meetings virtually are authorized as determined by the town board.
Okay, can we put that on the agenda then and decide whether we want
Well,
to?
then you need to change your, you gotta look at your April 10th, so you gotta look at the whole thing again. Your April 10th, 2023 motion, so
Do you want to have that back on the agenda then for?
For discussion, so the town can vote on it?
I think we need to have a working session before we put it on.
I can agree with that.
We'll set a date for a working session for the board,
This thing, put it 90 days.
hopefully sometime here in April.
Okay.
Okay?
The other question I had was meetings, regular and special. This was voted on April 10th of '23, 5-0, so I obviously voted for it too. Are we talking about the town board here, or are we talking about like the planning commission?
everybody. Can't treat
Everybody,
anybody
those
different.
rules apply to the planning commission, the town board, and any other. We used to have a parks committee, whatever applied to the parks committee.
So if we miss a meeting because we're sick, we don't get paid for the month, even if we do 2 other working sessions.
I don't think that's true. We're elected officials, right? The planning commission is different.
Okay, so this does not apply to us.
Doesn't affect the board.
It doesn't affect your
You're
pay.
an elected salary individual.
Okay. And the other thing was about Facebook pages. I tried to watch the YouTube video where Paul was talking, and I just couldn't hear what he was saying. Because we talked about this a little bit last time. And I can understand where you can't put certain things on there. I haven't touched mine in years. But if we wanted to, for example, put road projects on it, let people on Tropic Road know their Tropic will be closed in 2026 for this length of time, what is the problem with that?
What you're gonna find out, Rachel, is as soon as you get out on that Facebook page and you start doing town business on it, it then becomes public information access. Not just the information about your roads. Your entire Facebook page is open for public records that anybody has access to.
Your town page.
No.
We don't have a town
No,
page.
we don't have a town page. If we start putting information out on our private Facebook page,
No, I'm not
it
talking
becomes
about
public
private.
information.
We don't have a town Facebook page.
Oh, no, I mean me personally, like.
And I told you, if you put that stuff out on your personal page, it becomes public records if somebody asks for it.
It was a separate page that I made when I was running my campaign.
You have to have a separate Facebook page for your personal and a separate one for your town information if you want to do that and not have your personal one available to the public.
And that's what I have.
Then
And my
it-
only
then it
concern,
does.
I've not posted on it in years, but my concern is I tried to delete them before.
You don't have to delete it.
And I
Just
can't
don't
unless I
post on it.
delete all my accounts
You don't
and
have
shut everything down. Yeah, so I'm fine.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's, those were my questions.
Okay. So we'll set a working session for the board to work on those. Number 11, discussion action in rescinding the animal control invoice for adults at 763 Old Road. You've all read the report last month from him. He called me and he said, the problem with that is there's 3 other golden retrievers that live in the neighborhood. The dog that came out of his driveway wasn't his. He's on an invisible fence. He said, I've watched my dog chasing deer in the yard, and the minute he gets to the invisible fence, he stops. He said, that wasn't my dog that was out on the road. He said, if it was my dog, I'd be happy to pay the $110.
Gerald's here.
Gerald's here.
Daryl tell us? Or-
You know, Daryl, I'm having trouble with it. If I don't talk right away, it shuts out on me. When you get a minute, can you, analyst Daryl, we like your side of the story with goats. It's 763 All Road. He called me and he said, that's the golden retriever that was out on the road, and he said, you came and talked to him, and he said, there's 3 other golden retrievers in the neighborhood, and he said, my dog never leaves the yard because it's on an electric fence, and he said, I watched it chase the 3 deer the other day in the yard and stopped right at the invisible fence. He said, my dog doesn't leave the yard. It was probably somebody else. If it was my dog, I'd be more than glad to pay the $110, but it wasn't my dog. What's your feeling on that?
On that dog specifically, the person who saw the dog come out onto the roadway came from his fire number. He told me what kind of dog it was. When I went to his house, he had a dog that resembled that. And he said it wasn't mine. And I said, whose dog would it have been? Well, it's not mine. He said, we have a Zoom or a camera. He says, well, I don't know if it's working. I said, if you can tell me who that dog belongs to, I'll go have a chat with him. I haven't heard anything.
So,
And since that incident, I haven't had any other calls about any other dogs in that neighborhood running.
so at this point, he must have just called me rather than calling you.
I spoke to the dog who we thought was the dog owner that resided at that address, and he said he was going to go talk to the other guy. And he did, because the guy who filed the complaint did say, hey, he did come over here, but he said, this is where the animal came from, and that's all the information that I got.
So what the board has to decide is whether you want to rescind that invoice or make it stick.
I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt if he says it wasn't his dog.
I don't think we have enough evidence to say that in fact it's his dog, so.
I have dogs run through my yard all the time. That are mine.
Okay.
But the one thing that I would like to say, it came right out from his fire number. I mean, and I even asked if there's any other dogs in the neighborhood which he should be familiar with. If he has one in the neighborhood that looks like his. And I said, if you have cameras, you would know whether or not a dog that looks exactly like yours came out and was on your property. I haven't received any pictures or anything stating anything else. So I have no idea. Those electric things, I mean, was it working? I have no idea.
I agree.
I mean,
If we're willing to rescind that, I will call. I was talking to, so you'd think it at least let me keep talking. But anyway, so if we are willing as the board to rescind that, I will call him personally and say, look, you need to make sure that your dog stays home. And we'd like to know if there's other golden retrievers in the neighborhood. You promised that you'd do that. You tell me.
I'll hold the button.
It keeps cutting out. You gotta stay off of it. There you go.
Okay.
So I will let him know that he's got to be communicating with us. Okay?
Yeah, good.
Can we do this one straight and it's?
Yeah, one strike.
Yeah.
And I agree. Okay? I agree.
and yeah, I mean, it was pretty, if you have one that looks like that and it came out from your fire number, he gave me the exact advice as he was walking by.
Okay.
I'm pretty much sure that was it, but.
Okay. So what's the board want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we rescind the invoice with the idea of following up and discussing the issue with them.
I second that.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Rachel. Any further discussion? All
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, Darrell.
That would be perfect. You want to use this one? This one's still working.
No. Susan doesn't want to share hers.
Push the button and hold it down and it stays there.
Well, no, his keeps
I keep spotting.
I'm watching. It's probably, yeah, it's probably the batteries.
So, number 12, discussion on rescinding the fire call to Socorro at 499 County Road 8. That's the rule that wherever the call goes to, the person gets the bill for the call.
That was a good
Samaritan call that somebody called in and thought there was a fire there. And when the fire department got there, there was no fire. So the call goes to that residence where the Good Samaritan said it was. I don't believe we should bill him for a Good Samaritan call when he didn't have a fire.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
I would make a motion to rescind the fee for the fire call.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Rachel, seconded by Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Back to number 7, special discussion and action. Discussion and action on special exception permit for Willow River Car Show at Emporium at 736 Rodeo Drive on May 17th and September 20th of 2025.
It's a special event permit.
Special event, special event. Thank you.
Does the board have some?
Susan had questions.
Susan has some questions.
Okay, in the occasional events application, it included everything from A through O. I believe last year we talked about this as far as we wanted some type of plans for the parking.
You have everything. You have
Got aerials.
you have the picture and all that.
Okay.
It's not clear to me either, actually, in terms of the parking there. So there's cars for the show, which are, and then there's some overflow parking. So for people who are visiting,
Hit your mic. Put your mic up.
okay,
You gotta hold it a second.
yeah. The question is where the parking would be for just spectators. So,
We would do it just like we have it in the years past, the hotel down Rodeo Drive. Some people were able to park across by the Agave to go and gas station there. As well as in the grassy areas around the hotel and restaurant.
can you get approval to basically park people all the way up there on the hill on Rodeo?
We've just done it before. They kind of just come and go as they do. There's not a whole lot of business that happens out there on a Saturday afternoon.
No, I wouldn't think so. So that seems like an ideal spot rather than having them park across the street and
Sure.
crossing 12, you know, so.
And some people will park there and kind of carpool over as well.
Okay.
It's not like there's a lot of people walking across the highway or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to avoid. I think.
Absolutely, completely agree. And I apologize for being late. I thought this was next Tuesday.
Okay.
Any other questions that the board has?
No, there's.
I will make a motion to approve the event permit for Willow River Car Club. At Emporium at 736 Rodeo Drive.
For May 17th.
For May 17th and September 20th.
And you seconded that? Motion by Ken, seconded by Dan. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Discussion action on the Albert final plat, number 13.
you.
Are these different?
Yeah, this is updated.
Oh,
Change the
okay.
changing this one here. And then this one here. Is gonna go with these. How's that looking?
So basically, the changes that were made from what was presented at the plan commission meeting, there was an extra note that was added on the right-hand side, and that's in regards to the drainage easements. It just reserves the right for the township to come in and maintain those, should that ever be needed. And there's some verbiage in here that allows that the township can be reimbursed from the property owners. So we added that particular note, and then Albert Drive got updated on this one as well. There was some discussion about that, and at the plan commission meeting, they recommended that be Albert Drive. Other than that, I know Eric had one comment on lots 8 and 9, the 100-foot separation. We had 95 feet. But we'll ensure that that gets moved out to 100 feet during construction, so
Okay,
shouldn't be an issue there.
all right.
Other than that, that was,
So has the developer's agreement been signed?
yes.
Okay. And what's the final cost of the retention ponds and that? And the only reason I need to know that, Kevin, is so that the town requested 110.
I'm sorry.
The town needs a letter of credit for 110% of the final cost of that.
Yeah, I believe the developer did issue a letter of credit to the township.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, you do, all right,
Yeah.
yes,
So that
she
is-
does, okay. Is there anything else that the board has any?
I have a question. Let me get my button on here. Oh, here you go. Okay, so when we discussed this earlier, we talked about the shared well situation, and I think there was 2 wells, but then there was afterwards there was some reference to maybe 3 wells possible, 3 lots on 1 well. Is that possible?
Yeah, there's a note that's provided.
That's on that. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like lot number 1, or well number 1 is going to be between lots 1 and 2.
Okay. So in terms of the well agreements, I see here that there's well agreements in place, but does that address the situation where, one homeowner says, I don't have the money right now, it's up to you guys?
Yeah, the whole reasoning why there's
Yeah.
shared well agreements are in
Yeah.
place. So it kind of spells out all these particular items. And we did provide copies of the township for the
Right, okay.
The attorney's already gone over all that.
What's that?
The attorney already went through all that.
Okay.
And
So
part of it-
what happens like if one of those people is sharing, one of those 3 homes sharing that one well, one moves out in 10 years and one moves in?
It'll be all in reference to the actual lot number or the PIN numbers. So if there are changes in ownership, it still will go to whoever they
We
currently
have-
And what's important in this
Yeah,
discussion,
Safeguards in place?
Yeah, they belong to the lot, not to
Yeah.
the owner.
and that's why we can't approve, we can approve the final plat, we have to make a motion that says that they can't build on it until it's finally approved and the lot numbers and everything, because all that well information can't be finished until after they got the lot numbers to be able to put that data on the lots. And so we have to approve it prior to that, just to be able to get that all recorded.
Yep.
Okay? I thought I'd interject that at this point.
It's in the
It was a good
development
question.
agreement though, that's
Yes,
already been
correct.
signed and all that.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to approve the Albert final plat?
I'll make that motion.
The developer's agreement be signed and that the deputy know
building permits issued until such time as it's recorded.
Correct, yes.
I'll second.
Motion by Ken, seconded by Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Set date for public hearing to add youth ordinance recreation district to the zoning ordinance. We need to set a date. Vicky would like the 16th, 23rd, or 30th, and I talked to Susan. She said she can't do the 23rd, so she'd like the 16th. Does everybody work with the 16th?
Yes.
Let me just check one more.
Wednesday the 16th.
Wednesday, the 16th. What time do you want, 6 o'clock?
That's good.
6 o'clock, it'll be public hearing for the youth-oriented recreational district zoning ordinance change. I move that we set the date of the 16th at 6 o'clock. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Can we make our working session that same night, like 5 o'clock?
I'd
Before
like
the
that.
hearing?
Give me.
I'll have to check. Well, you guys can go with,
We just need somebody to do minutes,
not for a working session.
not for working session. Okay.
Okay, so
So let's set it for 5
5
o'clock.
o'clock.
Yes. We don't have to have a motion on that, do we? Okay.
That's all I'm agreeing.
It's all agreed. Discussion on daytime closure of Kinney Road due to bridge removal. I got a notice from the contractor that they were starting bridge removal on 100th Avenue and Kinney Road. They wanted 9 days of closed Kinney Road during the nighttime hours. They would operate from 7 at night till 5 in the morning, and we wanted to know if that was okay. I kind of hee-hawed and hummed and gave him a little brief, and he called me back a couple of days and he said, what would you think of doing that in the daytime? So I had Vicki put it on the agenda so that we could discuss it. I talked to the contractor again today because Vicki said the school district's going to have trouble closing that road for rebusing the routes. I called Tom Stiles this afternoon, and he said a couple of weeks would be good. I talked to Jake again this afternoon, and he said by tomorrow morning he'll have a concrete date, and it's at least 2 weeks, and it's probably more than 4 weeks out. And the reason for that is they're going to start to tear down the 100th Avenue Bridge tomorrow. And they got to finish that bridge removal while they got the traffic in the middle lane. They haven't even finished putting the middle lane for Kinney Road in, plus rebuilt the bridge, so they got to finish all of that before they can even start construction of tearing down Kinney Road. So he said he'll let me know tomorrow. I would like approval from the board to set a date for daytime removal or weekend removal, whichever they're willing to do, rather than nighttime. I talked to the residents that had complained in that area when they were doing nighttime operations with the borrow pit or behind their houses in Honolulu, and they went crazy. And so I called them and said, would you rather have daytime hours? And they said, absolutely. So I will talk to the contractor tomorrow, and it'll either be daytime operations or weekend, whichever they're willing to do.
Isn't weekend like double time?
Don't know if that's their problem. Whatever they're willing to do.
How does emergency services find out about
We have to let
We have
them
to let them
know.
know.
So that's why we need dates, because they can't just do it.
So they were notified that they were going to start, and it was going to be nighttime. So, does the board give you authorization to work that out?
Yes.
Release it? I will.
Motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ken, seconded by Susan. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry.
I wrote it down.
All those, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Oh, I didn't do 5, I bumped straight over there. Public comment. Is anybody that'd like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Is there anybody that would like to speak that is something that isn't on the agenda? Okay. I think we got everything else going. Does anybody got anything for future agenda items?
I have one thing. I would like to put on the agenda for the next meeting, the possibility of moving the August meeting to the second Tuesday. We have a working staff retreat. The whole team flies in from DC, and it's non-negotiable for me. I have to go. It's mandatory. So if you guys would just be kind enough to make an allowance to change.
We'll put that on the agenda to make a decision about what would that date be?
I believe it's the first week in August.
So it would be August 12th, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so we would move it to I'm open to any time in August. It just,
We do it Tuesday if we're going to do it. Correct. So the recommendation would be to consider August 12th.
correct.
Okay? We'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Does anybody else have anything?
And just in terms of our deadline to identify potholes, what's our date you looking for?
I think we want to let Matt know as soon as we can about where potholes are, but doesn't necessarily mean we're going to fill them. He does concern when last fall there was several out on Rocky, which has the commercial light industrial outlet. They were big enough you could have blown a tire. They got some coal mix and went out and filled those. So they want to know where they are. There's no use wasting money if they aren't too bad.
But I think we want to do our survey.
Yes, I agree. Let me know as soon, before
We
we,
need to know in August too.
before the end, why don't you let the office know? And they can let Matt know.
Sounds good.
That works. So before the end, probably by the middle of the month, by the middle of April, we should know where they are in the areas. Okay?
Well, anytime there is one,
Or
we should
anytime.
call the office so we can get it.
But we still have the same maps.
Yes, the same apps, everybody.
Mr. Chairman, on the wording at our public hearing, the planning commission had a little different idea on our wording. Are we going to address that at some point?
It's already in there.
Yeah, so then after the public hearing, you can decide if you want that in or not in.
And they did put it in already, just.
Okay, so then after the public hearing, that's when we'll
If you
decide.
want that word out, then you'll vote on keeping that
Whether
word
you
out.
want it.
Okay, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I move we adjourn.
I second.
Motion made, adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.